I still remember the first time I set foot on the planet Xiron. Its skies bled in shades of violet and orange, streaked with clouds that shimmered like liquid metal. The air was thick with a scent I couldn't describe, somewhere between ozone and honey, and it clung to my lungs like an alien promise. I had been sent as an emissary from Earth, a negotiator, though the truth was far more dangerous. The so-called peace talks with the Thaurans, the dominant species of Xiron, were nothing more than a test, a stage for decisions I was ill-prepared to make. The transport ship descended slowly, its hull groaning against the planet's strange atmosphere. My heart pounded in my chest, not from the descent, but from a knowledge that in mere hours, my entire fate could hinge on a single choice, a choice the Thauran Queen had already deemed mine to make. Her palace, or rather, her citadel, rose like a crystal spire from the rocky plains of Xiron. From a distance, it seemed impossibly delicate, yet I could sense its power. It was a structure that had survived centuries of cosmic storms and planetary upheavals. I wondered, as my shuttle approached, if the Queen herself had built it, or if her species simply inherited beauty and command as one. When I entered the Grand Hall, I was struck by how empty it was. The walls glimmered with an energy I could feel thrumming through my veins, making my skin tingle. At the center of the room, seated upon a throne carved from a single translucent crystal, was her, the alien queen. Her presence was magnetic and yet terrifying. She wasn't monstrous. No, far from it. Her form was humanoid, but elongated, with skin that glimmered like liquid starlight, and eyes that seemed to see the threads of my very thoughts. She was both regal and predatory, the kind of being whose silence demanded attention. "You've come," she said, her voice a melody that carried both authority and curiosity. It was a kind of sound that could soothe a storm or ignite one. "I've come," I replied, my voice sounding too small in the cavernous hall. "Good," she said, rising. Her movement was like gravity itself bending to her will. "I have a task for you." The Queen gestured, and the floor shifted. A raised platform emerged, and on it were three beings, all female, all distinctly Thauran, yet each radiating a different aura. One glimmered with fire, her hair resembling molten metal. Another exuded calm, her presence like a tide that could erase entire memories. The third was sharp, almost brittle, her gaze like crystal daggers. "You must choose one," the Queen said, her voice final, like a decree that could not be challenged. "She will become yours, your ally, your partner, your fate." I froze. I had expected negotiation, strategy, perhaps diplomacy. Not this. Not being told to choose between them, as if they were objects in some cosmic chess game. I don't understand. I stammered. "Why me? Why must I?" "Because you were chosen," the Queen interrupted, her eyes narrowing. "And because you will understand, in time, that refusal is not an option." I swallowed hard. There was no threat in her voice, yet the weight of her command pressed down on me, suffocating. The three Thauran women shifted, and I realized that each of them was aware of me, watching, analyzing, as if I were the subject in some grand experiment. The first stepped forward. She radiated heat, literally and figuratively. I felt the warmth emanating from her, almost like standing beside a sun. "I am Laurent," she said, her voice low and resonant. I can give you strength, fire, and dominance. With me, you'll conquer what others cannot even dream of. The second approached, calm, collected, her presence almost hypnotic. I am serene, she said. Her eyes locked onto mine, and I felt the chaos of my mind settle. With me, you will know clarity, insight, and a path to the most treacherous of fates. The third, sharp and precise, made no step forward. Her presence cut through the tension like a knife. I am Kalira, she said. I offer agility, cunning, and survival beyond imagination. With me, you will endure. The queen's gaze never left me. Choose, she commanded. I looked at them, and each seemed to reflect a piece of myself, or perhaps a piece of what I could become. Lorent whisper ambition, serene promise understanding, Kalira survival. My mind raced, my chest tight. How could one choice define so much? And then I looked at the fourth figure, one I hadn't considered. Not in the lineup, not in the queen's expectation. She was quiet, standing behind the others, her form less pronounced. Yet I noticed her. The small smile she gave, almost imperceptible, drew me in. She radiated neither fire nor calm nor cunning. She simply existed, and somehow I felt understood. My finger moved before my mind could catch up. I pointed. At her. The hall fell silent. The queen's eyes flicked to where I had gestured. Ah, she said, a hint of amusement in her tone. You see beyond what is offered. Who is she? I asked, my voice trembling. The queen's smile was enigmatic. Her name is Althira, she said, and she has waited for one who could see her truth. Althira stepped forward, and the air seemed to shift. Where the others had radiated power, she radiated presence. Not commanding, not coercive, but undeniable. I felt in my bones. This was a choice I was meant to make. You have chosen wisely, the queen said, her tone softer now, almost approving. Most would choose power, clarity, or survival. Few can see the unseen. Few can recognize the hidden path. Althira extended her hand. I took it, unsure what I was stepping into, yet certain it was the right step. The moment our hands touched, a surge of understanding passed between us. Images, feelings, possibilities, all interwoven. It was overwhelming, but it felt right. The queen clapped once, sharply. The other three stepped back, their disappointment tempered with respect. You are bound now, she said, not by law, not by decree, but by choice. And choice is a far stronger bond than any chain. Over the following days, I learned more about Xiren, its politics, and its people than I could have ever imagined. Althira guided me, explaining customs, revealing hidden truths, and teaching me the subtleties of Thauran thought. She was patient yet firm, nurturing yet unyielding. With her by my side, I began to understand the depths of this world and the magnitude of the Queen's intentions. It wasn't long before I discovered the Queen's true motive. The Thaurans were facing a crisis. An external force, alien even to them, threatened the balance of their planet and the stability of their empire. The Queen had not merely asked me to choose a companion. She had tested my perception, my judgment, and my ability to see what others could not. Althira was key to the solution, but only together could we unlock what was needed to save Xiren. The challenge was unlike anything I had faced. Swarms of creatures, some mechanical, some organic, attacked in relentless waves. Political intrigue twisted through the palace corridors like poison in a stream. I was forced to act, make decisions, and trust instincts I didn't know I possessed. And through it all, Althira remained at my side, her presence steadying me, guiding me, challenging me in ways that made me sharper, wiser, braver. When the final confrontation came, it was as if the planet itself held its breath. We faced the alien force, a collective intelligence that had consumed entire civilizations. I realized then that the choice I had made, pointing to Althira, was not merely a preference of the heart. It was the only path to victory. Only together could we anticipate the enemy's moves, blend strength with strategy, presence with perception. The battle was brutal. The sky burned with colors I had never known. The ground quaked under forces beyond comprehension. Yet, in the heart of the chaos, I found clarity in Althira's gaze. And together we triumphed. Afterward, as the dust settled and Xiren's twin moons rose in the violet sky, the queen approached us. She placed her hand upon my shoulder, and her gaze was heavy with meaning. "You chose not only wisely, but courageously," she said. "Power, clarity, and survival are fleeting. Recognition of truth, connection, and courage, these endure." Althira and I stood together, hands entwined, as the queen turned and departed. She left us with a single word: Guardians. We looked at each other, understanding that our journey was only beginning. Xiren was no longer merely a planet. It was a responsibility. And the choice I had made, the one that seemed impulsive, irrational, impossible, was a choice that had changed everything. In the days that followed, we rebuilt what had been shattered, negotiated peace with neighboring systems, and learned the depth of the Thauran legacy. And through it all, Althira remained not only my guide, but my equal, my partner, my choice, an unseen truth made real, a bond forged not by command, but by recognition. And sometimes late at night, when the twin moons hung low over the crystal towers of the palace, I would recall that moment in the hall. The queen's command had seemed impossible, the choice terrifying, but I had pointed, and in that simple act, I had chosen not just a companion, but a path that would define the fate of an entire world.